dyslexia, okay?
Dishonor on you! Dishonor on your cow!
Welcome, foolish mortals.
It is with deepest pride and greatest pleasure that we welcome you tonight.
Obscure Disney Podcast.
Brought to you by Monsters Inc. Tattoo Parlor. Experts of art on fur, scales, and mucous membranes.
Welcome, foolish mortals. You're listening to the Obscure Disney Podcast. I'm Steven.
And I'm Ryan.
And today you can tell we're talking about the Haunted Mansion.
So scary.
Do you like that?
You changed it up on me.
I changed it up.
I'm shocked. I'm scared.
This is literally what I've been practicing all morning long. It's my evil little laugh right there.
Well done. It came out great.
Thank you. I think so too. So the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Opened in Disneyland. It was originally built in 1961. There were some handbills that were announcing a 1963 opening, and that was given out at the main entrance there at Disneyland when construction began later that year. But interesting enough, it actually wasn't open until 1969.
Well, and part of the reason for the long delay is they were trying to figure out what on earth they were going to do in this. Because Disney wanted to have like a haunted attraction, but he didn't want it to be just standard haunted attraction. So they went through so many iterations of this ride trying to make it up to Disney standards, honestly. Originally it was going to be a walk-through ride with a lot of different kinds of interactions with ghosts and things. But then they discovered the Omnimover system, which would constantly move people through the mansion, which they liked better and thought would make a better kind of attraction.
I wish they could do that to the whole park. Just turn the whole park into an Omnimover that just takes you around. You just jump off from ride to ride.
But you still get stopped every time. Like, yeah, it would be nice, except, you know, there's always instances where it stops. Always.
Right. Yeah, on a busy day, you can be on that ride. The ride will take twice as long because there's so many stops along the way.
And it's, you know, it's because there are elderly people or people that need to transfer to wheelchairs or whatever. So there is like a slowdown that happens every day. True. Almost constantly. But what I like about the construction of the Haunted Mansion is they had an entire team working on these illusions that were going to go into the ride, and they were in a warehouse that was owned by Disney, obviously. And the cleaning crew did not like going into their workspace because the things would scare them. And there's a story of the cleaning crew leaving a note saying you need to turn everything off before you leave or the cleaning crew's not coming back, basically. Oh. And so, being Disney people, they rigged everything to a motion sensor so that when someone walked in, all these illusions would start up.
Oh my god.
And the next day they walked in and found a bucket and a mop sitting in the middle of the warehouse. And the cleaning crew basically said, you're on your own from now on.
Yeah.
Which, you know, the effects in there now aren't so groundbreaking, but back then they were things that people had never seen before.
I don't know. They are still actually pretty groundbreaking, I think. We didn't. The first time I went there was what? What did we decide? 2012?
2012, I think.
And I was completely fascinated by the ride, actually.
Well, sure, yeah. But kids these days have been around computer animation and special effects a lot more frequently than people back then had been.
Yeah, that's true.
So
in 1969,
I wonder if kids. I haven't taken a child to Disneyland in a long time, but I would love to see what a child's reaction to it is now versus when I was a kid, because I was terrified of this ride as a child.
I mean, we still frequently hear people crying on the ride, freaking out a little bit.
That's just you,
right? No, that is not true. I love that ride. It's dark and it's cool and it's relaxing.
That's true.
The first time we actually went on there, had no idea what we were even doing. I just got on the elevator, started stretching, and we got all the way to the hallway. I'm looking at things, I'm enjoying myself, and then I said to you, I was like, oh, now we get on a car. That's cool.
Surprise! Yeah, that's the great thing about taking somebody that's never been, is just that, seeing what they think right off the bat with something that's so well known to someone that's been a lot, but to see someone new look at it is always exciting. But when I was a kid, I did not like this ride at all. And my mom was one of those moms. You'll hear them in the park now. We spent a lot of money. You're having fun. You know, that kind of mom where it's like, we spent too much money. You're having fun.
Oh, you know that is true. That is exactly how I'd be.
And so when we went, we were on a breakneck pace through that park. We were going specifically in a very specific route through the park. We ran from ride to ride. Of course, it was summertime, so the lines were a bit longer.
Oh, yeah.
And there wasn't Fast Pass back then, so we literally had to be on the ball all the time. And I think me and my sister were just not very athletic. So I think by the time we reached the third ride, we were tired, you know, and Mom was like, no, you're having fun.
So I'm hearing that you had to be an athlete in order to go to Disneyland and enjoy it properly.
Exactly. And I did not make the cut.
Do you remember when we saw that shirt that said, my cardio is Disneyland?
I don't remember that shirt, but I want to steal it.
It's pretty good.
But when I was a kid, we would get around to the Haunted Mansion, and it has an ambiance outside, and me and my sister would automatically not want to go on it because it looked scary. And my mom, for years...
This is how I feel about Tower of Terror.
Well, I tried this trick on you, too, and it didn't work. Yeah. But for years, my mom would say, oh, no, it's the Happy Mansion. Remember? It's the Happy Mansion. And we're like, oh, happy. And then we would get on there, and it's distinctly not happy, ever. In that entire ride, it's not happy. And we would be terrified the whole time. I remember entire ride-throughs where I didn't open my eyes once. Like, it was that scary. And every year she would trick us with this Happy Mansion nonsense. And then
you fell for it every time?
We fell for it every time.
But to be fair, you were kids.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
But then when my sister got old enough to read, we were standing outside the Haunted Mansion, and Mom says, it's time to go on the Happy Mansion. And my sister says, that doesn't say happy. And we have like a full-blown meltdown in front of the ride again. And my mom, being my mom, says... Don't be ridiculous. You've ridden it every year. You're going again. On we went, whether we liked it or not. But I've come to appreciate it now more as an adult, obviously.
For sure. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Appreciating it more as an adult?
Well, all the amazing effects that are inside, right?
Yeah.
There's still some that we go by and I can't figure out how they get that, how they do it.
Oh, really? Which ones are confusing?
So pretty much like in the attic, all of the disappearing photos, obviously, I mean, I guess they're easy to figure out. They're just like the 3D pictures kind of a thing.
Oh, like with the heads disappear.
Yeah, and apparently you can now get those printed of you in Magic Kingdom.
What?
You can have those kinds of things printed. Yeah, apparently so.
Why do I not already have one of these?
We haven't been to Magic Kingdom yet.
Oh, touche.
Since they've been released, but
well, just be prepared. We're gonna drop some coin on that next time we go.
Yeah, so I guess that one is pretty easy to figure out, but there's others that I'm still pretty fascinated by.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who enjoys a good special effect, this is the ride to go on for special effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the setup of the ride is really interesting because you walk into the ride initially into, they call it the stretching gallery or the stretching portrait room or something along those lines. And the doors all close and you're in a room with no windows and no doors, and the room starts stretching. And beyond just being a very cool effect, there's a legitimate reason for the movement, and that is that the Haunted Mansion is really just the entrance, and when you walk down the hallway, you're going underneath the railway that goes around Disneyland specifically, and out into a show building to do the rest of the ride in. And it's such an iconic part of the ride that they went ahead and duplicated it in Florida, even though they don't need to go under anything in Florida. So you don't actually go down in Florida.
Have you heard this? I don't even know if it's a theory or rumor or whatnot, but people have said that in Florida, the room actually stretches up because the water table is so high there. Do you know anything about this?
I don't know about the water table, but I do know that I think it does stretch up, but it's mostly just because they had no reason to put you down underground there. At Disneyland, they do have to take you down so you can go underneath the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
But at Disney World, there's no reason to, but they wanted to have a stretching room anyway. So they just make the ceiling go up as opposed to you going down, I guess.
I would be curious to find out if it really is because of the water table issue.
Yeah, I don't know. It's possible. I mean, Florida's a giant swamp, so it's...
Yeah, because on Pirates in Florida, you don't go underground either, right? Don't you go up a walkway?
You know what? I have not paid attention enough to Pirates, but the whole reason for going down in Pirates at Disneyland is to go under that ridiculous railroad track.
It's not ridiculous. It's amazing. I love it.
Well, it's ridiculous in the fact that they fenced themselves in and now have to find ways to go underneath it constantly.
Yeah. Well, they had no idea it was going to get that big.
Well, that's true.
They probably did, actually. They probably did. That's why
Disney was a pretty visionary man. I'm sure he knew it was going to be a big deal.
Right.
But I think the ride is phenomenal. And there have been a couple of changes to it throughout the years, too, though. Most notably, they had the Hatbox Ghost in it on opening day. Which is a very famous ghost in the Haunted Mansion. He's kind of a creepy, smiley guy, and he's holding a hat box, which for those too young to know what a hat box is, it's exactly what it sounds like. Back when men used to wear really tall hats they needed to travel with, they needed to have a secure place so they wouldn't get crushed. So he has a hat box, and his head disappeared and reappeared inside his hat box was the basic concept, right?
When we go to Disney on Dapper Days, this is the only thing I really want to wear in addition to what I normally wear would be a big old fancy top hat.
Well, you should. I don't even know where you'd buy a hat box. I mean, a hat like that.
But I couldn't do the suit, the tie,
oh my gosh,
penny loafers or whatever they're. No, I could not.
Penny loafers.
That's the thing, right?
You would melt into a puddle in a full suit at a Disney park. And you'd be miserable. I can guarantee that.
Oh, I guarantee even just thinking about it.
We'd have to get you a parasol.
to go over my top hat?
A nice shady parasol.
Right. Okay.
But the Hatbox Ghost apparently in its original format didn't work. So they ended up removing the Hatbox Ghost, and he became a thing of legend for years.
Still to this day, really.
Well, except for the fact in Disneyland they got him back. Now, right after you see the Killer Bride in the attic, you run into the Hatbox Ghost in very close proximity to, and he is
fascinating.
He's wonderful. And I'm still not, I'm pretty sure it's done with projections, but I still can't quite figure out the exact formatting for that.
Yeah.
It's
really well. Oh gosh, no. Other than that, they use a lot of projections for like Mr. Potato Head and even Sebastian's little eyes on Ariel and stuff. So they use them all over the park, and even on that ride over the top of Constance. What's her name? The bride?
Constance Hatchaway.
That's it. Yeah, they even use projection on her as well. So obviously it's that effect, but like where the cameras are actually set, I have yet to figure
where
that
the projectors
out.
are.
And we videoed that as well, trying to figure it out. And I've gone back and looked at the video later. Obviously, these new 21st century effects.
They do a really good job.
Very good.
But the one thing that I am glad that I never encountered, initially in the Haunted Mansion, they had live actors standing around in the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, seriously?
And they would
Oh my gosh.
jump out and try to scare you as you're going through the ride.
That would scare me.
I would hate it.
And you're stuck in your little doom buggy?
And you're stuck in those little things, and these people jumping in at you. No, my mom would have never been able to get me back on that ride had someone jumped out at me in the Haunted Mansion.
Is that why they had to take him out? Because people were like punching at him?
No, I think that it became too much.
Yeah.
Really, I think it would take away from the enjoyment of the ride, looking at the neat effects and the story that's being told through the effects is much more entertaining, in my opinion, than actually trying to jump out and scare people.
Right.
You know? But if you were in the Haunted Mansion, so it's famously 999 happy haunts in the Haunted Mansion.
But there's always room for one more.
There's always room for 1,000. Where would you want to be in the Haunted Mansion?
Where would I want to be?
Yeah, what room would you want to hang out in?
Oh, you know I'd want to be in that ballroom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would totally.
You want to be at the party.
I want to be at the party. I want to be where they're dancing and they're having a good time and they've got a big old table full of food.
That's true.
That is the place to be.
They are out socializing in there.
Oh, that's a good point. Where else do you want to be? The graveyard?
Yeah, the graveyard looks like it could be a good time. But
I'm sorry,
also,
what?
If I was going to be in there, I'd kind of want to be in the scarier part. I like kind of the mysterious, creepy beginning more than the playful ending.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
I love Madame Leota's chamber.
Oh, yeah, you do, actually. Yeah.
Where she's in there floating around, this disembodied head floating around in a crystal ball.
Mhm.
That's awesome. And I think Madame Leota is such a cool character. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, she is pretty cool. That one you could totally be like swinging around with the things behind the people.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, so you'd be one of the instruments playing live or something.
I'd be instrumental in the Haunted Mansion.
Right. Totally true. Do you remember when we got evacuated off that ride?
Oh, one of my favorite times ever. And we didn't even have to actually be evacuated. We just chose to be because it took us through somewhere we weren't supposed to be.
So we'd gone down the stretching room and started down the hallway, and the doom buggies were malfunctioning that day. Is that what the deal was? And they couldn't get people loaded?
There was some sort of issue with the Omnimover. Who knows what it actually was?
Yeah, it was taking quite a long time.
Yeah.
And so cast members then said, you know, if this is getting to be too long for you guys, you know, feel free to leave. We'll escort you out this way. And of course, we had no problem waiting, but the opportunity to get evacuated and go through the back hallways of the ride, oh yeah, that was fascinating.
It was so fun. And we were trying to walk slowly, but there was enough people that you had to kind of keep a good clip walking. But
Yeah.
we did exit out near is it the mausoleum?
Yeah, those mausoleums.
And that was fun. We have a horrible picture of me standing in front of them.
It's
But
not horrible.
it's a bad picture. But it is fun. I don't love when the rides break down, but you definitely get a very different look at things when things stop working.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I was super impressed.
That was a really fun time. But the Haunted Mansion is actually in multiple parks, though, right?
Well, it's in. I think it's almost in every park that Disney's made.
Yeah.
Not the exact format, obviously, but the concept in general is in every park. I think.
The Fantom Manor, that's in Paris. Is that right?
I believe so.
And I was looking at that one. Did you know that one has been closed for refurbishment since the beginning of the year? And they just recently announced that it won't be opening until January 2019. So they've closed that ride for an entire year there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they like overhaul? What are they doing?
Very little information's given, you know, in Disney style.
Huh.
They've just told cast members that have been reassigned to other rides that they're temporary, you know, that their ride is now, or their replacement is going to be there until 2019.
Wow.
So if you're a fan of Manor, and I forget, is that the one that is trackless?
I don't
No.
believe so.
That must be the Hong Kong Disneyland.
The Shanghai Disney.
Shanghai. That's the trackless.
That is a trackless one.
Oh,
but it's not even really a haunted mansion in Shanghai. I think they call it like a magic mansion or something like that. But the one in Paris
the
is
Magic Mansion.
something.
They overheard your mom talking in line.
They
said,
tried to make it a little
"You know
less
what?
scary.
This is a good idea.
I want royalties. The one in Paris is so vastly different than the American parks. Like, I think you go through like an old western town full of zombies and things in the Paris one. I personally have never been on it, obviously.
How cool is that?
But it would be very neat to see one day. I don't know. I like the idea of the rides being different. They've talked about doing a version of Indiana Jones, the ride, at Disneyland in Florida. And I think it would be way cool to just switch it up a little bit and make it a different kind of experience. For a long time, people wanted the exact same thing on both coasts. Mm-hmm. But I think it really makes your park a must-see if you have differences. Mm-hmm. Instead of just like, well, it's exactly like the one in California, so we don't really need to go ride it.
Well, it seems like that would have made sense, pre-1980 when traveling was harder to come by. Sure. You were kind of destitute to the one that was closest to you, and that was where you were going. Sure. But now with travel being so accessible to so many people, they're now quite a bit more destination spots to go to. So we say more the better. Change them up.
Yeah, make it different. I mean, the Haunted Mansion is different in Florida from California. Yeah. Just slightly, though. It kind of has the same elements. They're just kind of mixed around,
Which one do you like? Well, I mean, obviously.
I'm a Disneyland kid. So Disneyland is by far my park. But I can see the merits of the Florida one. They get you on the Omnimover a little bit faster in Florida. And a lot of the effects are, spread out throughout the mansion a bit.
I like them both. I like both of them. I like the queue a lot at Florida, right? They really keep you entertained the whole way.
They have Madame Leota out front on a tombstone out there, and she randomly opens her eyes and blinks.
Oh, really?
She's super cool. If you can't tell, I'm a Madame Leota fan. I love her. But that is a real... We talked a lot about that real quick, didn't we?
We did. There you go.
We may have to revisit some Haunted Mansion things. But for now, that will be the end of this podcast. So hurry back, and be sure to bring your death certificate. See, I mixed it up too. We'll see you next time on the Obscure Disney Podcast.